In this video, we will be covering how to create a South Park styled character. We're going to be using creating a Donald Trump version of like a South Park character. So stick till the end of this tutorial, and you should be able to do something like this. Okay, so now let's just undo everything that we've done. Let's just delete everything that is here because I don't need this anymore. So now we could go into our rigging and rig the remaining these facial features on his hands and stuff like that. Okay, this is the part that I might not really be talking, or I might be talking just explaining, but I might be speeding through most of this, but because these are stuff that I've covered before and it makes no sense to still cover them, keep covering them over and over. So let's just do the eyebrow, and then the rest I'll speed through it. So you drag the eyebrow. The eyebrow is a combination of like cycle triggers. I'm just going to drag this whole thing and just create a swap set from it. After creating the swap set, it means everything is now a key. So you latch it, and then now I'm going to configure them to keys on my keyboard. So let's just use 1 for shock. So now I'm going to select all these that are cycle triggers, and how you know is they have two keys inside them, so it's supposed to move from 1 to 2. I'm just going to select all these like this and come down here to behaviors and add a cycle layers behavior to it. And since we want this to be in 2s, we need to make this 2 and then forward and reverse and hold on last. So you select both like this. And now we have our brow, and we could just test that before moving on. 2, we get to this. 3, 2, we get to this. 1 is 2, 3, 4. So you can get all these emotional facial cues. So I'm supposed to configure 0 to blink. So that's basically for the brow. So I'm going to work on the eyes and some other parts again. So this is the part where I would just be speeding through most of this right now because I've done this before. If you check my other videos and if you cover it, you'll be able to understand what I'm doing. Okay, so I thought of it and I was like, oh, maybe I should just instead make this video comprehensive since I've already started. So I'm going to break this video into pieces, just so that I do not have to speed through it. So now what I'm going to be doing is I'm selecting the iris, and it's already independent. So I'm just going to select that, come here, and the reason why I'm going to be doing this is so that his eyes, the iris is not, because the iris is overlaid, it's placed over these eyelids. So if I do something like maybe let's do blink, you see that the iris will be staying, it will be over the eyes, it will be over his eyes, and that is not what we want. If I select the iris and I move it, you see that it's over the eyes, and that's not what we want. So let me just undo that quickly, and then select the iris, come to this puppet here, and then create clipping mask. So when you do that, this is what is clipping, like it's clipping. This will now be like a mask for it. So if I select the iris now and then I move it down, you see that it goes behind the eyes, and this is what we want. So let's just undo that quickly. And there's something that I may need to do, because I'm not comfortable with the fact that this is white. So even when the character is blinking, there will be like a white kind of thing there. So I'm going to be putting an eyelid overlay on this, and I'm going to do that in Adobe Illustrator. So I'll just pause this for now. Okay, so this is what I've added. That's the eyelid over OV. So this is the actual eyelid. So let's just drag that in and create a swap set. And this is sort of like just an outline. There's no paint. So Now that we have this, let's open this up. Then we are going to be dragging this because we want them to simultaneously trigger. So we want this blink to trigger with the blink in this just eyelid here, so that it will form like an overlay for the eyebrow, for the iris rather. So let's drag this into blink here. Let's drag question 2 into question 2, and it's the same thing. Blink, come to iris and select blink because these are both cycles. So you just need to come here and add a cycles layers behavior, and then make it 2, forward and reverse, and hold on last. Perfect. Now still while selected, come up here and select iris, then blink rather, blink. This is a blink tag. So you select these tags, and then you come up here and select your main character at the top here, and so that we can add auto blink. So you select that, and then you come in and you add auto blink. Sometimes I adjust it. I think I'll leave it like this at 30 blinks per second, per minute rather. So we're done with the eyes. The mouth shapes, well, I have so many here, but I will ignore most of this because basically it's just one mouth that will be functioning. So let's just ignore that for now. So now we're done with the FFT, the whole facial features, and just so, because I don't like that this is over like this, so let me just move it to default. Let's move it to default here. Okay, good, that's perfect. Okay, so now that we have this all out of the way, now this is for head that is facing forward. So now we need to replicate the same thing for our side head. That's this head here. Okay, so now what do we let's just activate that, and instead of going through and reworking everything like we did in the first head, we just need to add them into here. So let me just show you what I'm talking about. So for the eyebrow here, all we need to do is open our eyebrow and drag our question into question, and it's just the same thing we do. So okay, so now we're done with that. We come to the eyelid here, and these are supposed to be they are supposed to have cycles layers behavior. So I'm just going to select everything that should have cycles layers behavior to it, just so that we're done with that. So select everything here. Let's select our blink because that also needs it. Let's come to this place and select our blink here, and just come and just add the cycles layers behavior, and then let's make it 2, forward and reverse, hold on last. Perfect. Okay, so now let's just close our eyebrow because we're done with that. So now let's come to the eyelid here. You drag, let's drag both into blink. Let's drag question and question into question here. We're doing them at once because it makes our work way more easy and less messier. Okay, so it means we are almost done. So let's select our iris and do the same thing, create clipping mask, and now we have it clipping through. So one thing we did not add in all of these is a draggable for our eyes. So alternatively, you could, not really alternatively, let me just make this also let's, in addition to, let's make it also something you could control with your camera. So let's select both like this, and let's add a draggable, no, not there, this, add a draggable tag. So I'm going to select this and also configure it, add the iris tag, the eye tag. So now you could move this, the copy rather, you could move this around. Okay, so now we are done with his head, but we're not completely done. So let's just click this, and one thing we need to do is duplicate this head so that we can flip it towards, like, flip it the opposite direction. Let's just zoom out a bit so that we can see what we're doing. So select the head, and then let's Control D, just duplicate it, Control D, good. And then let's make these L, just make this L, good, that's fine. So now I'm going to flip it. Let's make sure you don't do this before creating all the facial features and stuff. If not, you have to redo it again. So let's just flip that and move it to, let's just move it. I'm manually moving it, so this position should be fine, I think. Okay, this should do. Okay, so now let's select the entire head. Let's select the head here, and let's create a swap set for the head so that we could use configure to buttons, and we'll be able to flip the head whatever direction we want. So now the default, I'm going to give the frontal head as default. I'm going to put it as a default, and just so that we know what we are talking about, this is the head, good. So now I'm going to select all like this, and let's latch it, and then let's make the left, let's make it Z, and then we'll make the right X, right, is that right? I think it should be the other way around. So let's make this Z, and let's make this X. Okay, perfect. So now one thing I usually do, maybe I should finish with the hands first, because, well, let me just do that now. So one thing I do is I right click, and then I make this head shareable. Making this head shareable is very, very important. It's the thing that I was telling you that I learned recently, so that you do not have to start doing the same thing for the head on the left and reworking, moving things around, when you could easily just use the same head. And the good part is, whenever you make any changes here, it automatically updates here. So let's say you want to add a particular trigger to the head, or you want to add an additional head, or whatever you want to add. So now you add that. Now you may have to come to this left profile. That is, if you do not have this setup that I'm about to teach you, you may have to come to this left here, and then you have to recreate that head, or recreate that trigger, or whatever you are adding. You have to make that you have to create that manually, and then you have to rig it all over again, which is like this hassle. It's unnecessary when you could just do this. So if you do use a shareable, whatever you edit here automatically updates it. And imagine if you have frontal profile, and you have left profile, and you have semi left profile, like you have those 2/3, and you have back and whatever. All these is just going through and updating it over and over is just unnecessary. So this method is going to save you so much stress in the future. So just come here, click make head shareable, and when you do that, it should appear here. So now you have our head. So now you could just easily drag this into this profile here. So we're going to be placing it behind or below the ambi. Yes. So let's just let's activate this, just so that we'll be able to see what we're doing, and maybe turn this off. Okay, so now we have our head here. So let me move the head. All we just need to do is, so that we'll know where we're moving it towards, let's make this active, and well, I can't see the head. How do I make that? Okay, let's just move it. At least we know where we are moving it towards. Oh no, wrong. I'm supposed to click just the head. Okay, I'm supposed to click just the head. So click the head, and then move it. Let me just move it out so that I can see what we're okay. Good. Do something like this. Okay, so now at least we have it at the closest point. Let's deactivate this. Let's just make this invisible. And now let's move our head to the left like this. And this is perfect. Perfect. To the right rather. Okay, so now we have all our profiles available here. So you could use L, you need to flip it, or you could use right. Okay, so this is perfect. So now that's for our head. Let's go back to our main character, actually our frontal. So let's just hide this and unhide this. Okay, let's make this frontal. Perfect. So now I'll be rigging the hands, and since okay, let me do the body. Let's do the body. So let's click here and add a tag, add the waist tag, and I usually add the waist and then add a draggable there just so that I can manipulate his waist. So that's something, if you want to do, it's fine. If you don't, it's still fine. So I'm going to click this and then maybe make this hip, click that hip, do the same, and right hip. Okay, so that's all. Now let's move to our arm. So let's start with arm A. I'm just going to do a few, and then after that I think I'll just do one of the arms, and then after that I will time lapse this part because I've explained this in much details in previous videos. So you drag this thing, you drag it, at least that's how I create it, and this is a way better method of creating your characters because then you have less work when you come to editing, and aside from that you'll still be able to reuse in betweens. So I have this finish hand and then I have this in between. This finish hand is basically just the last frame. It's basically the last frame of the hand, and this is in between, and as you can see there are just 14 in betweens, but I was able to create so many hand shapes from just those in between, those 15 in betweens. I was able to create, like, I think this should be close to 30 something or 40 or something like that, around that range. So with the same in between, so you do not have to, and it will really reduce the amount of the size of your character, and it will make it run smoother. So that's advantages of using this method. So I'm going to select this default, come down, and then latch everything, just latch everything. So these are cycles. This is a cycle trigger. This is supposed to cycle through 1, 2, 3, and all of them are like that. They're supposed to cycle through, and also this thing they're supposed to cycle through also. So that's what you have to put in mind. So now how I do it is, whatever in between is here, I used a hashtag. So this is #1, so it means the in between that this relies on is #1. So this is the in between that it relies on. This is #2, this is relying on #2, and it goes on and on. So don't know is #8 and it's relying on this hashtag. So all you need to do is drag in the hashtags that is right for that particular trigger. So now I'm going to drag this in between, this #1 in between, because it's what is required here, and 2 is what is required here. 2 is also required in ready. I'm going to drag it into ready. 3 is required in me, so I'm going to time lapse the video from here because at least I've explained a few. This is supposed to be handy. Yep, it is. So let's just, we're done with this. Well, not really done. Let me just come in and add the cycles layers behavior. So you select all these because those are supposed to go through a cycle. The default doesn't have a cycle, so I'm just going to ignore that one. Select all, and then let's come to our cycles layer here, and our behavior, and then you add the cycles layers. Then let's come down, let's make it move in twos, forward and reverse, and hold on last. Okay, so one thing we did not do is we did not configure these to keys. So let's just quickly do that just for some. So let's make this Q. Let's make this okay. So I just, in case your character is having issue rigging it, probably because your system is getting slower and slower. So one trick is just to select the main character here, come down here and change it to 50 or even less. Actually 50, I think 50 is lowest. So select 50, and at least to be way better than it was, at least to be smoother. But just make sure when you come to rendering, you could use it while animating also, but when it comes to rendering, make sure you boost this to either 200 or 400 so that you get the utmost quality. And this only applies to Adobe Illustrator, so a vector file, because there's a conversion process that's going on here. So if it's a Photoshop file, you may have to stick to whatever resolution you started with in the first place. So that's a plus for vector. Okay, that's all for this part. The character, the link to the character will be in the description. Please go explore the character and see what you think I can do better or whatever. Thank you for watching. Please give us a like, give us a sub. It will help us to reach way more people and also help us to reach you with more contents like this in the future. Thank you and bye for now.